Well, you know, taking on the Daily Mail is a pretty rough task, but there is a man who's survived it, and you've been talking to him.
Yes, I have. The Labour peer, Lord Sugar, won a libel action against the Daily Mail more than a decade ago and actually was awarded £100,000 in damages. So there's no love lost between Lord Sugar and the Daily Mail. And when I went to speak to him about the newspaper's attack on Mr Miliband Sr., the Apprentice boss made it pretty clear what he wanted to say was, "Paul Dacre, you're fired." I asked him first why he was so hostile towards the paper.
They are a special ilk of people that work at the Daily Mail. They're nasty, nasty people. And it starts at the top with this Paul Dacre guy who has gone too far this time. And I think the shareholders of the Daily Mail group have got to demand his resignation.
What would you say is the role of advertisers in all of this? There's been some suggestions of a boycott. What do you think about that?
Well, advertisers, of course, are the lifeblood of the Daily Mail, as they are for any other newspaper, and it's entirely up to them to take a moral stance on this. And I would urge them, just as a punishment to them, to actually pull their advertising next week and the week after, just perhaps temporarily, just to show them what would happen. Let them stand up and show them what would happen if their revenue, which is really all they're interested in, is taken away from them.
There's clearly no love lost between yourself and Paul Dacre, but hasn't the counter-attack on him in particular gone too far? I mean, your friend Alistair Campbell tweeted the location of his London home and also his Scottish estate last night.
Well, good luck to Alistair. I mean, it's nothing more than Dacre would do.
But you're stooping to his level, aren't you?
Well, I mean, maybe he is stooping to his level. Maybe
that was a mistake.
Maybe what you have to do, if you lay down with dogs, you might get fleas, you know, and he is a dog. Trust me, a dog of the biggest order, right?
So if his home is targeted as a result of his address being made public, you're relaxed about that?
Well, I don't know what you mean by targeted. I'm not advocating that there should be any form of violence or anything like that, but
you're relaxed about his address now being in the public domain?
Well, my address is in the public domain. The Daily Mail have put it in the public domain many times. I'm not advocating there should be any form of illegal actions taken at his address, but it would be quite funny if there was a demonstration outside demanding his resignation.
You're accusing the Daily Mail of being below the belt, but the tactics you're employing are equally below the belt.
Yes, you have to fight fire with fire. It's the only thing that this lowlifes understand.
But Ed Miliband's petition talks about speaking up for decency in British politics. I mean, nobody's behaving very decently on either side,
Well, that's Ed Miliband talking. I'm talking for myself here, and Alistair Campbell's talking for himself.
So the leader's got to be above the belt, but you can employ much more underhand tactics.
I think I can play whatever games the Daily Mail play, yeah, and so can Campbell.
Isn't there a danger that whether the Daily Mail apologises or not, they've got their way because they've got their description of Red Ed out there, and that's what's going to stick in people's minds? Isn't that a problem?
You're absolutely right. That is the problem that Levinson most probably touched on in his report, that once the damage is done, it does stick in the minds of people.
So Ed Miliband would have done much better, wouldn't he, to ignore the whole thing, hard as that would be?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. And the Daily Mail showed their weakness and showed their fright by having to give him a half-a-page space yesterday, which is very unusual for them.
They then went even further and accused his dad of an evil legacy.
Yeah, very unusual for them, but it shows panic. It shows panic.
But Daily Mail has seized on the Red Ed tag because of what happened last week with Ed Miliband pledging an energy price freeze, haven't they? Are you at all worried, as a businessman, that Labour is beginning to look a little bit anti-business?
Not at the moment, no. Not at the moment, really. I think that...
You hesitated?
No. I think it's not true. I think what people have clutched hold of there is that if Ed Miliband gets into power, and if the Labour Party gets into power and he implements some process where energy prices are frozen, that effectively is tantamount to kind of nationalisation again. In other words, how can you tell businesses what to charge, right? But I think...
So you'd be concerned about that?
Well, it is slightly concerning, but I should imagine that there's a lot more devil in the detail, really.
Lord Sugar, thank you very much.